Let's go Harrison. Who else have we got on? So waiting on Numan. Right, cool. Okay, so what you need today, you need a pen and you need your paper. Have you got that ready? And what we're going to do is, it's not going to be quite a test. It's more like to see how well you remember the things I've taught you. So hopefully you spent about 10 or 15 minutes, like I asked your mom to recap your content over the last few weeks. Excellent. Let's go. In that case, okay. So question number 1 is worth 2 marks. All right, so it's worth 2 marks. Can you see that? No, you can't. I bet you can. Very, very simple question to kick off with. I want you just to factorize x squared plus 8x plus 12. All right, 8x squared plus 8x plus 12. All right. The one who gets the marks is the one who answers it first. So I'm asking you to factorize it. So you get the marks if you answer it first. So as soon as you finish factorizing, pop it in the chat. The marks will go to the person who answers it first. So I'm just waiting on one of you to put in a solution for the factorization of x squared plus 8x plus 12. And that's what I'm waiting on as it stands. Very, very simple question if you did some recap. When you've done it, pop it in the live stream. Seems to be taking you guys a while. Is there a problem here? I'm struggling. So what's going on back there? So I haven't heard anything from either of you guys on the live chat. Is it a connection issue? Are you struggling with the question? Pop something in the live chat so I know you're there. Right, first was x minus 4. The second one, where the hell did the square root come from? That's not a factorization. So that's Harris, you're out. Okay, again, this is what I mean by you need to look at your work before you come here. You bring this kind of stuff, that is solving an equation, not factorizing. Right, waiting on Demand to say something. Demand, are you dead? Are you alive? What's going down? Student question, fine. Right, there we go. That's a good one. Right, so for Harris, I need you to get another piece of paper separate from the one you're using now, and I want you to write down the definition of factorization. So next time when you're revising for the 10 minutes before the lesson starts, you can use that to help you revise. What does factorization mean? It means take out a common factor, put in brackets. Yeah? Yeah? X plus 2, X plus 6. That's what factorization is. Yeah? So factorization is you take out a common factor or common factors, and then you put them in brackets. So when it asks you to factorize a quadratic, you're being asked to put it in two brackets. Of course, not always are you going to have two brackets, but when it looks like this, x squared plus 8x plus 12, you're going to get two brackets or maybe one bracket repeated. All right. So Harris, you need to write that down on another paper, completely fresh paper. That's going to be your revision paper. And before every lesson, you look at that to remind yourself what factorization is. All right. For you, Numan, I'm going to ask you to factorize something else. It's a different style of question. Again, it's for 2 points, 2 marks. So you're 2-0 up. Let's put that score there so you can see it. 3x squared y minus 6xy cubed. I want you to factorize that for me if you can. All right. So factorization means to put in brackets. Sometimes that's 2 brackets, sometimes it's not. See if you can factorize this. You're not sure. Okay. Now, whenever you've got something in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where you've got a number in front of the x squared, you know you're going to get 2 brackets. This isn't like that. This isn't like this at all. It's not a 3x. It's not a something's x squared plus something x plus number. It's just not that at all. It's something like it's got x is squared and cubed and whatever. So here, use a different. We're still factorizing, but you're going to get a slightly different way of thinking about it. What numbers do each thing have in common? They've both got a 3 in common. We can factorize out 3. What do I mean by in common? Both of them divide by 3. Both of these things divide by x. And both of these things divide by y. So 3xy is what's going to go outside of the bracket. So you look for things that will divide into all of those things. All right. So 3 would divide into both of them. X would divide into both of them. Y would divide into both of them. Now you create a bracket. All right. Now you create a bracket. What are you doing here? You're going to divide each one of these by the thing you put outside of the bracket. So 3x squared y. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, fine, don't care. X squared divided by x is x. Y divided by y is 1. So it's just going to be x, because 1 times x times 1 is just x. Put a minus sign because there's a minus sign there. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Y cubed divided by y is 2 is y squared. So it's 2y squared. All right? Did you understand? Yes or no? Put in a chat box. I can do more examples that are similar for that if you want, or you can try one. Put in the chat box what you want. Yeah, you understood it? Okay, cool. So you try this one again for 2 marks, yeah? So you got 4x cubed y squared. Good. 6x squared y cubed. All right, so you're going to factorize that guy for 2 marks. Okay, as always, the 2 marks will go to the guy who gets it fastest. So we've got 2x squared, y squared, 2x, 3y. Well done. Well done. You got it. Good, good, good. So how does that work? They both divide through by 2. They both divide through by x squared. They both divide through by y squared. And then we divide through. 4 divided by 2 is 2. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. Y squared divided by y squared is just 1, so ignore it. If there was only 1 left, we'd put 1, but, 2 times x times 1 is just 2x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared divided by x squared is 1. Y cubed divided by y squared is y. So 2x squared, y squared, 2x minus 3y in brackets. So Numan 4, Harris nil. Right. I'm going to leave that there for about 30 seconds for you to copy. If you didn't have that already, Harris, you may have got it, but just were a little slow. We're going to move on to the next question. Right, brilliant, cool. So this one is for, again, 2 points, 2 marks. Solve the equation y equals, now let's make it equals 0. Good. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0, using whatever method you like. Okay, you can use solve the equation, so it's solve this time. Solve the equation. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Right. That's not a solution. What does the word solve mean? Solve means find x. Put that on your revision sheet. Find out what x is. So I asked you before to write down, make a new fresh sheet that says what is factorization on it. On that same sheet, can you write down what solve means? Solve means find out what x is. All right. So that's what you need to be doing. All right. That's not telling me what x is. That's you completing the square, and I'm not sure you've got it. You might have got it right. I haven't checked. I'll just do it in my head. But it's not the answer to the question that I asked you. And an important part of passing any exam is knowing what the hell they're asking you to do. So if someone's asking you to solve that equation, they're asking you to find what x is. All right? We're not sure. Okay, here's one way. There's like, first of all, you also start a sheet for just revision. Okay, so another fresh paper. How many different ways can you solve an equation? There's loads of them. All right, so it's not just one method of doing it. You can factorize, which is where I'm going to show you how to do it in just a minute, because obviously we just factorized in a minute ago. You can use the formula. The formula would have helped here. You could, let me just rub this out. I'll remember what the question was. It's formula, right? So yeah, to solve. So here's your solve, yeah? You could factor. You could factorize. You could use the formula. It's a formula. The minus b plus or minus b squared 4ac or whatever, all that stuff, yeah? I'll write that down in a minute. So factorize, formula. You could draw a sketch. You could sketch it. Sketching could help. You could complete square. You could guess. I mean, don't do this, but you could. Use trial and error, all right? And what does solve mean? It means find out what x is, all right? So can you write that down as notes for me? I'll move that so you can see that. You know it says complete square anyways. So this is what the key problem is. You don't know what the hell you're doing. And this is what this lesson's all about, making sure you know the difference between each thing that I've taught you. So factorize means you're taking out a common factor and you're putting something in brackets. Now we're coming across the keyword solve. Solve means find x. That's what it, or it could be other letters, it might be find y, find z. I don't care what letter it is. It's find the letter that you've been asked to find. So if I say solve for x, x squared plus 5x plus 6, I'm equals 0. I'm asking you to find out what x is. Once you finish copying this down, I'm going to go through that example with you, then I'm going to give you a similar question. You need to be clear on what the words mean. If you don't understand what the words mean, you can't answer the questions. You might have all the skills, but you still fail the exam. So can you, on your revision sheet, yeah, and both of you should now have one. Harris had one from a bit of time ago. Now I'm asking you to start one, Numan. Write down what solve is. What does it mean to say solve? It means find the letter. All right. And then what methods can you do it for the quadratic? Yeah. And this is just solving quadratics. Sketching, factorizing, formula. Put quadratic there in brackets, so you've got that written there as well. Formula, you could guess, which is trial and improvement, or you can complete square. All right. I'm going to give you about another minute to copy that down. As soon as you finish copying it down, let me know and I'll show you how to do it. Done? Harris, when you're done, let me know. Right. So I'm going to use the factorization method as my choice because it's something we've done quite recently. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. All right, that's the equation I've been asked to solve. Need to find out what x is. So I factorized this without too much effort. It should be x plus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. Yeah? X plus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. So what are the answers? It's whatever makes this equal 0. What would make this equal 0? If x plus 3 equals 0, then one of your answers is x equals minus 3. If x plus 2 equals 0, one of your answers is x equals minus 2. Those are your two solutions. That's your final answer. All right? Put that so you can see that written down. There you go. So those are your solutions. Very, very simple, right? You factorize, you make each bracket equal 0, you solve, and that works. So copy that one down for me, and I'm going to give you another similar question. Once you finish copying it, put done in the chat. Right. Here's another one, similar style question. You don't have to use factorizing. You can use any of the other methods I told you about. Again, for 2 points, x squared plus, let's go with 9x plus 8 equals 0, and I want you to solve the equation. Yeah? Solve the equation. When you're done, put it in the chat. So we've got x equals -1, x equals -8. Good job. So that's 4-2 to Harris. Well done. Right. Next one. I want you to solve this one by any means you like. 2x squared plus 16. No, let's not put 16 there. Let's put 8 there. Make that 16 equals 0. So it's 2x squared plus. Nah, wait. Let me pick a 2x squared plus 10x plus 8 equals 0. And I want you to solve again. Okay, you can use whatever method you like. claiming that x is minus 10. It is not. It is definitely not. So claim is x minus 1, x minus 8. Well, half right. Let's have a look. I'm going to do this one because you've got 1 point on that. Factorize this guy. And you don't have to factorize. I'm just going to factorize because it's easier. You get 2x squared plus 2x plus 8x plus 8 equals 0. So this is AC method. Let me just drag that up there. So I'll do it here. I mean, you could have used the formula. You could have used anything. It doesn't really matter what you use. But here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to factorize using the AC method. So that's 2x, x plus 1 plus 8x plus 1 equals 0. So that's 2x plus 8, x plus 1 equals 0. So you've got x equals minus 1, x equals minus 4. So you got half of that, which isn't bad. So you get 1 point. Do you see what your mistake was, or did you do something else entirely? Same method. So you see that 2x, when you do 2x plus 8 equals 0, x is minus 4, not minus 8. So that's where your problem is going to be. I mean, it's making each bracket equal 0, not just swapping the sign of the number. So you might want to make a note of that. But you still got a point, it's worth something. Another. So here we've got 3x squared plus 7x plus 4 equals 0. Again, you're solving. Okay, you need to finish off. 3x isn't a solution. You have to tell me what x is, all right? Assuming that you're right, which I'm not saying either way, I'll tell you that in a minute. 3x minus 4 would not give you a proper answer. So you need to work out what x is for 3x minus 4. All right, so do that for me, then I'll mark it for you. Four thirds, wrong. Where did the minus sign go? So you lost the minus sign somewhere. See if you can find it. Right, better. Well done. So one each on that one. Right, I'll give you a point each on that. 6-3. Right. Cool. So last question I'm going to ask you today, all right, is sometimes factorization doesn't work and you have to use a formula to solve. Here's an example. Here you've got x squared plus 7x minus 1 equals 0. So solve with your answers to 2 decimal places. Now, if a question asks you to solve something to 2 decimal places, that's usually a good way of kind of realizing that you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Just a quick reminder of the formula, which you should already know, but never mind. B plus or minus. Yeah, you got 1 because he got the other one first. 4ac all over 2a. All right? Right, so there's your formula. Solve this to 2 decimal places, okay? If you've got a problem with the factorizing of the one with the numbers in front, revise it, okay? In fact, I'll say some of that as homework, so don't worry. But you've covered every single piece of this content already. You copied your answer. Yeah, I get that. I mean, but he wrote it out correctly, the second one. I mean, if you need to practice, practice. I'll give you some practice to do after as your homework for this week. But it is stuff you've covered. And that's the very, very frustrating thing about this, is that we spend every lesson covering things we already know because whatever reason, it's not sticking in your head. And you need to make it stick in your head. The things you need to make stick in your head for this lesson are solve and factorize. You need to know what those words mean. And you need to know how to do them. All right? And not being funny, they were taught 5 weeks ago. So you've got your last question to do. Whenever it says solve and it says give it to some level of decimal places, you want to be using this formula. All right? Unless they tell you otherwise. so I've got minus 8.5 and 1.45. I'm going to solve it now. I'll solve it here. See what comes of it. So you get minus 7 plus or minus b squared. Yep, cool. B squared would be 49 minus b plus or minus b squared 4ac, which is just minus 4 all over 2a, which is 2. I'm just going to put my calculator and solve that. So there is a difference in opinion on answers. Let's see who's correct. Number one, let me just see. Let's see first. I mean, you can change your answer while I'm doing the question myself. So x squared plus 7x plus 1. So minus 1 rather. So 0.14. Yeah, 0.14005. That's 1, yeah. So if the other one's sufficiently close. Neither of yours seem right. That should be a plus 4. That's my mistake as well. Yeah. So what's your first call? Harris one claims point. Oh, bear with me just a minute. So 0.1's, well, that's, yeah, sort of ish. What's the other one? 0.68. Well, we'll see. No, both wrong. So you should be running minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 53 all over 2. You're close, but it's not quite right, the answer. The answer isn't quite right. See where you made your mistake. 4ac, 4 times what? Yeah, that. So minus 7 plus or minus root 53 over 2. And if you didn't get that from your formula, you made a mistake somewhere. New pen. Okay, so if you just follow the working on that, yeah, 714, yep. I think that's right. I'm just going to check that. Yep. Right, so I'm going to give that one to Harris, which leaves it on a 6-5. All right, this is your homework for today. First of all, get the words clear in your head. What does solve? What does factorize? Or I'll move the screen in a minute. And what does completing the square mean? All right? If you don't know what these things are, the lessons aren't going to make any sense to you. All right? And then I want you to do the following. Factorize x squared plus 11x plus 30. I want you to solve 3x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. You can use whatever method you want. So use the formula to solve 2x squared plus, actually you can't even see that. And I'll move the screen in a second. 2x squared plus 10x minus 1 equals 0. Okay? So let's move the camera so you can see that a little bit easier. I'll pull the camera up a bit, that'll probably help. There we go. Cool, so that should help. I'll move it down here and I'll rewrite the equation. So I want you to solve 2x squared. What did I say? Let's call it plus 7x minus 1 equals 0. So if you copy out anything beforehand, change it to that. Driving me nuts today. Right, there we go. So I'll leave that on for the next, say, 40 seconds. Get that copied down. Your key idea is you should know what the hell the words mean. When I ask people to factorize, you should know, oh, I'm going to put something in a bracket. I'm taking something out. If I'm solving, I'm finding x, I'm finding y, finding z, whatever the hell the letter is, right? Completing the square does something. What does it do? We'll talk about, that's something we're going to recap next lesson, all right? So definitely revise your completing the square stuff, all right? Okay, so hopefully you've copied that out now. If not, just pick up the video later on, and you'll see it doesn't turn up for about an hour, I think, or no, it's a few hours before that shows up. Look at previous videos to recap what you need to know. All right, you have to come into lessons prepared, otherwise you're just going to get battered week in, week out. All right, until then, take care. Bye.